This is the Vince Salerno Podcast, Episode 10. On today's show, we're talking about the trailers for Logan and the Power Rangers. Also, Lucasfilm has confirmed no CGI for General Leia in Star Wars Episode 8. Also, JJ Schindler is in the house with me talking about the movie Silence. So sit back and relax because the Vince Salerno Podcast starts right now. Hey everyone, welcome to the Vince Salerno Podcast on this Friday, January 20th, 2017. I'm your host, Vince Salerno. I'm joined by my special guest today, a guest who's been on the podcast before, but this time he's here on his own. It's no duo this time, just himself, and
me,
yeah. Yeah, it's JJ Schindler.
Hey,
if social media didn't make it obvious, it's JJ Schindler. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing all right. It's
a little wet.
Yeah, it's a little wet, California. But hey, it's been said that when it's raining, it means God's blessing is coming down upon us since it's Inauguration Day.
There you go.
Of course, we wish President Donald Trump the best of luck in office. Congratulations on getting in there, and we're looking forward to seeing you make America great again.
Yeah.
Even though some people continue to whine about it. Get over it. Okay, so last time you were here with Shelby Turner, just about to release Anna.
Yeah.
It's out now. Some people have seen it. I've seen it. It's great. What have you been up to since Anna?
Well, I mean, we've been putting the film onto DVD and stuff. We've been raising more awareness about it, and then since then I've started to get involved with more other projects. We have senior projects coming up again for our graduating class. So I'm involved in with a couple of those, particularly one named called Arc that I'm producing. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic story about a girl who finds this robot. And it's kind of the name comes from the idea of an archangel. That's where the idea of arc comes from. So it's kind of got a lot of like ancient biblical like references and stuff, but in a post-apocalyptic world. So it should be really interesting, and it's a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. So
nice. Well, we wish you and that's Preston directing. Yeah. Well, we wish both of you guys best of luck on that project, and we'll keep you guys posted on senior project stuff coming in the next couple months. Of course, I'm doing one. I'm keeping the details under wraps. If you follow me on Instagram, you see I posted a cryptic photo. We'll talk about it later. Let's get into the top 5. I was able to find 5 stories, unlike last week. So here are our top 5, starting with number 1. We got 2 trailers yesterday. We got Logan and Power Rangers. Let's start off with Logan. I like this trailer. I didn't like it as much as the first one because the first one was just, gah.
Yeah.
I mean, if there are people who are still questioning whether making trailers is an art, that trailer is one to end the argument, I think.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that one. We're talking about this one. This trailer was great. If you've seen my trailer reaction, you saw that I liked it. Some of the things that I picked out was that, one, the big thing, we got confirmation that the girl is actually X-23, who's actually like a comic book character who's like a clone of Logan.
Gotcha.
Or a female clone. It's complicated. I don't know all the lore, but so she has the claws, which we all theorized. It was like, we didn't know if this girl was just a girl or if she was a mutant or something, but she is, in fact, X-23. Possibly hinting at her taking over the role of Wolverine if and when he dies in this movie.
Right, they didn't show that. No, it was definitely I would say, I don't know if this is the right word, but I guess a weaker trailer in a sense, but it still kept with the feel that they were going for. And it still felt like it was close to at least staying true to what they were trying to go for with the original one. Obviously not as like impactful just because the way it was constructed, but it definitely it was a surprise to me because I knew that this girl had something to do with it. I didn't know to what extent. So it was really cool
Right.
seeing that, and then that really opens up like a whole other. It's almost like he's trying to keep her dumbed down while everything's going on. Versus I thought that he was going to have to be saving her the whole time. So,
Right.
And that's coming from somebody who doesn't really know a whole lot of history behind Marvel and the X-Men and all that stuff. So
Right. Yeah, I love that scene at the beginning where she's beating up the the store clerk, and then he comes in and he goes, "Not okay." Like she's just like,
and then he steals a couple cigars.
Like she's this like feral, uncontrolled, untamed animal that he has to look after, which kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Good Dinosaur, the relationship between Arlo and Spot, the caveman, kind of how he's this feral, untamed kid with this dinosaur, which I think it'd be the reverse, but it's not. Anyways, so I think that's interesting how he's kind of going to be teaching her how to be sort of normal. Right. Obviously not too normal since she is a mutant.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how they're going to end that, because it kind of seems like it's like they're the only people like that right now.
Right,
At least that they've shown us. So having to deal with that, because it looks like the rest of the world just wants to get rid of any trace of a mutant. So
yeah, I have a theory going around. So people have been telling me that in the Old Man Logan comic, it starts out with Wolverine being mind controlled or something by a villain called Dr. Sinister, or Mr. Sinister. Hope I'm getting that right. And he actually kills all the mutants. And that's the prologue to Old Man Logan, and then Old Man Logan opens up like 10, 25, I don't know how many years later, and he's old, and mutants are extinct, and it's the post-apocalyptic wasteland in the Marvel Universe. So I don't know if they're going to do that in this, where they're going to open... Because what I'm hearing right now is that Mr. Sinister is not in the movie, but that, my theory is maybe that they're not showing that scene because they don't want to spoil it, and... so maybe that'll be like a prologue scene in the beginning of the movie. We'll get our cake and eat it too. We'll have Logan in his traditional Wolverine costume. We'll see Mr. Sinister, which I guess a lot of X-Men fans have wanted to see. He'll kill all the mutants. Maybe we'll get some cameos from older X-Men characters. And then that's where we'll open up with Logan. It's like 25, 30 years later, he's done some bad things, and he doesn't want to be referred to as Wolverine anymore because of what he did. And he can't get over that trauma. Right. Of course, this is his last one, Hugh Jackman's last Wolverine movie, which...
Maybe,
because now there's talk about him being in Deadpool, which, I mean, I think that's the only situation you could really bring him back. I know you don't really like Deadpool, but if you know the comic lore, those two kind of work together really well. So I think... In the best case scenario, Hugh Jackman will be either in Deadpool 2 as Logan or Wolverine, or they will make a Deadpool 3 and Wolverine will be in that movie. Because it technically will still be his last movie, but it'll be like in the past before the events of Logan.
Right.
So that's kind of how I see it. Fingers crossed. I think Hugh Jackman's still very adamant about this being his last one. And maybe it'll be refreshing for him to have a supporting role in a Deadpool movie. But yeah, the trailer looks great. This is one of my most anticipated movies of 2017. I love the idea of going for this gritty, dark Western, making it feel like an actual, almost like an Oscar-worthy film versus a big CG fest action superhero movie. Right. And... yeah, there's something I wanted to say about the trailer, again, about the tone. Yes, I remembered. Oh, man, it's been a long day. So the first trailer, I felt focused on the tone, the dark, gritty tone, setting that tone. And I think that may have been a little misleading for people. And so this trailer was released to let people know we're still going to have fun with this movie.
Right. It's not going to be a sad fest.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be, but we're still going to have fun. It's still the same old Logan and Professor X that we know and love. It's just the last time. So I think that's the main point of this trailer. And once again, can't wait for this movie. All right. Still on number one, Power Rangers. I almost forgot to talk about Power Rangers. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Power Rangers. I don't know the lore very well. Yeah. What I do know, I've learned from my roommates because one of them is a big Power Rangers fan. I know there's characters in the lore like Rita Repulsa and Alpha 6 or something, a robot, and then this giant face dude named Zordon. All these weird elements from previous Power Rangers movies and television shows. And seeing all that come together in this trailer, and all the action and the giant robot dinosaur type thing and the gold dragon, it's all really cool. I actually think I like this trailer more than the Logan trailer.
Wow.
I was thoroughly entertained. I watched Power Rangers here and there as a kid. I never knew what was going on. I was never really got into anything that was going on, but I liked what I saw. It was kind of a cool science fiction-y superhero type thing, and seeing it translate onto the big screen with this, $100 million budget, all these other special effects, and it looks like a really good movie. I mean, it doesn't look like the best movie of the year, but I think this is a potential franchise starter, and I'm hoping it's good because I like everything I see, from the effects to Bryan Cranston is playing the floating head Zordon, so that's all exciting. Are you mutually interested in Power Rangers?
I never was. I mean, we all kind of grew up knowing about Power Rangers, but
right.
I think like some of us really became fans of Power Rangers.
Right.
I never really got into them, but just so judging the trailer just from like kind of an outsider's view, I mean, they're definitely touching on. They kind of improved, obviously, like the look of the Power Rangers and everything to like make it look cinematic.
Yeah.
And everything.
Suits were awesome.
Yeah. So those elements were really cool. I'm interested to see because like I could foresee it becoming something where it's really cheesy and to a point where because you're kind of dealing with a content that's kind of an old style superhero
and it's known
movie.
For being very cheesy.
It's known for being cheesy. You're dealing with a lot of cheesy content, which it's kind of a hard balance because you've got probably half your audience that wants kind of that cheesiness to it, and then half your audience who maybe like us or that are kind of like, I just want to see a good movie. I don't really want to deal with your cheesiness because I'm not a fan of it. So that would be an interesting balance because like I saw both in there, and it's going to turn into this fest of like, okay, this is just too much for me, or it might surprise us and it will really push forward.
The comedy lands in some cases, like the I'm black, I'm blue, you're not black. Yeah, I am. No, you're not. I love that joke. That is the funniest thing in the entire trailer. And then stuff like pee in that cup. It's like, what? What is this? Is this mother a doctor or something? Why does she have a peeing cup? It's randomly there. So yeah, some of it doesn't work. Some of it does. And for me, I think it kind of looks like what the Fantastic Four reboot should have been. They even used the song from one of the trailers for Fantastic Four, I think, which is hilarious. So this is kind of the tone that I thought Fantastic Four was going to take, and then it turned up into a giant heaping pile of dog crap. So
yeah, I mean it's huge. I mean pretty large budget and everything, and then I mean it really depends too on like who they're targeting. Are they targeting teenagers? Like because obviously these guys are supposed to be teenagers,
right? I think
that world. So are they kind of targeting that person? Or are they aiming for a wider audience?
I think they've found a middle ground where they can target fans of the franchise, but they're also targeting newcomers. And I think like us being newcomers, I think especially for me since I love the trailer so much. It works. It works really well. And seeing the response to this trailer from other people, it just goes to show how it's going to be received. It may be a piss poor movie. It may be the worst thing of 2017. But I judge things based on what they give me, and they have given me nothing to assume that it's going to be a bad movie.
Right.
Sure, the comedy doesn't land most of the time, but that's excusable in most cases.
Yeah.
I'll see a movie just to see Bryan Cranston's floating head in one of those. It looks like those. What are those games where you put your face in there?
Oh yeah, like the little form.
The imprint.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, but that's what I thought of. So yeah, the Logan trailer was great. Power Rangers trailer was great. I am more veering towards the Power Rangers trailer being the better one of the two. Which one was your favorite?
Oh man, that's tough. I would have to say just because I kind of like the Logan trailer a little bit more, but that's more because it's more towards my like genre, like stuff I like within like superhero. It was kind of aiming towards more of a dramatic feel. But they both were really entertaining, and I'm looking forward to seeing what each one, because they're both don't know exactly what we're going to be getting yet.
Right.
So.
Cool. All right, moving right along. Number 2, Lucasfilm came out with a confirmation that they will not be recreating Leia via CGI in Star Wars Episode 8 or 9. Thinking about it now, I don't know why they would recreate her in 8, because she shot all her scenes, but if they wanted to maybe tie up some loose ends in Episode 8 or create a new storyline to end her story in Episode 8, they might have to recreate her CGI in Episode 8, but this is more about Episode 9. I am a little confused because based on what I've heard from the general audience and myself and talking with you, JJ, I didn't see a problem to recreate Leia via CGI because I think it's the best option you have in respecting Carrie Fisher, ending Princess Leia's story arc in the Star Wars universe and sending her off in a very poetic way.
Right.
Now that this option has been axed, the other options are to write her out, which is a terrible idea in my opinion, or recast her. And I am not so. I mean, some people are. I've been persuaded to think that recasting could be a good idea, but that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Princess Leia.
No, you're talking about like, because like, I think anytime you're going back in time, like that worked really well with CGI for Leia.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they could do that again. I mean, if they want to recast her, I guess that's fine. I would say like, but since you've already showed us the CGI abilities with somebody that's younger, if you're going to do anything else with that,
Right.
But for the for where she was at now with Episode 8, I think and I've heard some rumors, a lot of rumors that they're just going to have her die out after 8. That they're going to have some reason for her to this to happen, which I can definitely see. I can see like where that would be like that's going to be tough, but like I think it's going to be really difficult because you probably would hit a lot of roadblocks with trying to recreate her as CGI. With it being so soon too, with her being, with her death.
With her death, yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I could see like where that would just maybe turn some fans off and stuff. I hope that they can. I know they will, but it'll just challenge them to kind of find a way to mold their story moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
To kind of either push her out or to find another actress to audition for it. So.
Yeah, that's hard for me to picture just somebody else in that role. Like if you, like say you put Meryl Streep in there, it's like I will only see Meryl Streep. So if they get a nobody, or not a nobody, but somebody less significant to play Leia, then I think I'd be okay with that. Because I think Carrie Fisher would want the legacy and the role to continue. I think killing her out is not an option.
Right.
So if they can find some way without using CGI, I still think that was the best option, but if they can't do that, and if they don't want to do that, if the family doesn't want to do that, then I think we're just gonna have to live with it, and it's the family's choice, and we have to respect their choice. So, yeah,
it'll be interesting to see because I mean it opens up. There's obviously they have a timeline of what they're expecting for these next several films,
right?
So,
and they've said that her. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, I'm curious how much she was going to be involved with future films, or if they were kind of expecting her to kind of...
Her role was supposed to be expanded as the films. So, like, Episode 8, she's going to have a much bigger role, and then Episode 9, she's going to have an even larger role than that. So it was really significant. So they have major rewrites to do, or major... So that's why these conversations are so important. It's literally... The future of these films is on the line right now. And... The thing they also stressed was that there's 2 pivotal scenes that Leia has filmed or has yet to film, and that's the meeting with Luke Skywalker and the confrontation with Kylo Ren. I don't know if both of those are in Episode 8, or maybe one of them is in Episode 8. We'll find out, but...
It'll be interesting. But then again, when you throw an obstacle at writers and brilliant filmmakers, they kind of make, movie magic happen.
Right,
Might end up causing it to in a unique way. But we'll always remember it as, like, what would it have been like to have continued with Carrie Fisher.
Right. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they do change anything significantly, what that original draft of episode 9 looked like.
Yeah.
All right, moving right along. Number 3, Tangled's getting a sequel on TV. The Tangled movie is going to the Tangled series is going to TV with a TV sequel called Tangled Before Ever After, which will then pave the way for a series called Tangled the Series. It's going to be a 2D computer animated TV series. We've already gotten 2 trailers for it. Rapunzel's hair grows back somehow. I'm a big fan of Tangled. It's one of my favorite Disney princess movies, coming in at number 2 under Moana now. Shut up. But I'm really excited for this. I mean, honestly, if I had my way, I'd rather give Frozen the series and give Tangled the animated sequel, like the big budget theatrical sequel.
Yeah.
But then again, we get more time and more adventures with the Tangled gang if we have this series. So I'm really looking forward to it. They got the original cast, Mandy Moore, Zachary Levi. They're both back to voicing their characters, which I think just goes to show how significant this show is. It's not just a spinoff where they recast the roles. They got the original voice actors.
Yeah.
So that's...
It's no cheap thing.
Yeah, it's not... no, they're not going cheap, exactly. They got the original guys, and I think that's really important. And it looks great. The animation looks great. It's nice to see... studios throw a bone to 2D animation, so I'm looking forward to seeing the series premiere and go forward. What do you think?
I'm excited because, but also there's some hesitations I have with it because I like the fact that they're taking all the detail with getting the original cast and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously going to spend a little bit more money than they usually would.
Right.
But I never like these animated reboots as far as
well, it's a sequel.
Well, sequel to like when they're doing it in TV. They're never the same. They're just. I mean, and I guess it's more aimed towards Disney Channel kids audience, which is fun. So with that, like, it'll probably be good for what it is. But like you said, I kind of agree with you. I would have rather probably seen maybe a Tangled, a second Tangled movie versus like Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
But but also at the same time, Tangled was kind of this unique in a way. It was like it's its own movie, and it's not. It's kind of almost better that they don't continue it because it's just so great in itself. It's such a perfect piece that I feel like it would be. I mean, unless they came up with a really cool story idea. But then I didn't want it to be some stereotypical, like, oh, well, they had a kid, and now this kid's going to have trouble, too, and, like, they're going to have...
She's going to grow hair.
She's going to have long hair, but it's going to be black.
It's going to be black. And she's black, too.
Oh, boy. Wow, they adopted. What's going on? I don't know what to think. I mean, for what it is, like I said, for Disney Channel, it'll probably be great. It'll probably be fun.
Right.
Nothing that's supposed to bring in maybe a larger audience that's past, like, kids and stuff for Disney Channel.
Yeah.
So it'll be good for what it is, but I wasn't too much of a fan of it. But
yeah, well, let's hope it's good. Let's hope that idea never happens, what we just pitched. Yeah. Don't listen to us, Disney. Don't listen to us. All right, moving right along to topic number 4. Ben Affleck has been getting a lot of crap about the Batman. People have been asking, when's it coming out? Is it actually happening? Is it in trouble? It's not happening? Oh my gosh, Ben Affleck's going to leave the project. And he's been trying to tell fans to chill the F out. Stop freaking out. Stop getting on his case. It's going to get made. It's going to happen. Just let him work. And I couldn't agree more. I'm really excited about Ben Affleck directing the Batman. He's one of my favorite working directors today. And I hated Batman v Superman, but I loved his Batman. I can completely agree that his Batman is the best Batman we've ever gotten. And it's kind of... It's funny and kind of cool to imagine Ben Affleck in a bat suit directing the Batman movie while playing the Batman. I just can't wait to see that.
After he wrote the Batman.
After he wrote the Batman, I can't wait to see that behind the scenes image. But seriously, the movie's not in trouble. All these rumors going around that it's not going to happen, they're just not true. There's nothing to back it up.
Yeah.
And he's gone on to say that it's going to happen. It's going to work. Just give him time.
Yeah. I think what might be something that's leading behind this is because, well, movies, for people that don't know, movies, especially at this scale, take a good long time to make.
At least 4 years.
Yeah, at least. I mean, we're looking like 6 to 8 usually. So I don't know if they're speeding up this process or not, but it's going to take at least that long. And he basically like kind of announced from the beginning that he wanted to redo this. So fans have from day one when he was thinking about it, were like, he's going to do this. So I think that we're kind of like, well, normally when we would hear something about this time, we would start seeing content and we'd start seeing what was going on. Right. But like now it's, we're seeing it from, he's developing it right now. He's probably writing it and perfecting the writing right now. Like they have a long ways to go. So people just need to understand that the film process, I mean, there's so much involved. There's so much, a lot of content. And for something like this, where you've had a ton of other Batman films to back up this character and everything, he wants to make sure he does justice to the character, to the storyline, and gives something that the audience has been wanting to see, that he has as a vision. So that's going to take a lot of time to incorporate, on top of dealing with huge studios with enormous amounts of money and all these other things coordinate. So it's coming. It's just the films take a ton of time and a ton of money. So be patient. And
another thing, I understand, some people are concerned about, the DC universe is not... It's terrible. I mean, I will argue Batman v Superman, Man of Steel is a masterpiece, but BVS, Suicide Squad are terrible films.
Most of those, yeah.
And I understand the fear going into the Batman now. But think about it this way: they gave David Ayer, director of Suicide Squad, 6 weeks to write the script. That is like. Those 6, that's like development process. Like, let's map out the story. That's 6 weeks of...
It's like enough time to come up with an idea.
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, it's stupid. So I for one, do not want them to make Ben Affleck come up with a story in 6 weeks. That's ridiculous. So if this movie has to come out in 2019 for it to be good... I'm totally fine with that.
Well, you also have to consider that you already threw out Batman versus Superman. You already threw out that film with him in it. So you've got to figure out how you're going to now present the new Batman.
How you're going to course correct.
Same guy, exactly. So you're not only dealing with, it's like almost having to be like, take 2 steps back after you already took a big chunk and threw it out there.
Right.
So people already have all this bad taste in their mouth for what happened. And so now they've got to figure out how to make it come out even better, so that people are like, okay, this is what I wanted. This is the Batman.
Yeah, hopefully Wonder Woman and Justice League will help with that.
I think that's going to be a huge impact, because that's honestly the first DC movie that I've even cared to even watch the trailer about was Wonder Woman. Because I thought it was going to be crap as well, because most of the other stuff has been. So watching that, I was like, okay, this has actually got an interesting storyline. I love the structure of it. I love so if that does well, I think it'll help them a lot. But if it doesn't, I don't know. DC has not had a good track record with films. I don't know what it is, but they have not gotten the traction like Marvel.
I mean, it's catch up. They're trying to play catch up with Marvel, and it's just not working. So yeah, everybody calm down about Batman v Superman. No, don't calm down about Batman v Superman. It's a terrible movie, in my opinion. Calm down about the Batman. It's gonna be great. It's going to be awesome. Ben Affleck's going to do a great job. Just let him work.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time.
Okay. All right, number 5. I've been laughing about this all day. Patrick Stewart is going to be voicing the Poop Emoji in the god-awful Emoji Movie idea.
Well, he might just make it.
I mean, I don't like to curse on the show, but this is what I wrote in my notes for the lineup. Patrick Stewart is going to voice shit in the Emoji Movie. Sorry, I had to say it.
It's so funny. That's fantastic.
I mean, look, I love Patrick Stewart. He's Professor X. He's on Star Trek.
He's phenomenal.
Phenomenal actor. He's Sir Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Just one of the greatest actors to ever.
There. Yeah.
Greatest actors out there. But this is just why? Why is he sinking to such a low level?
Hey, if somebody asked me to voice the voice of Poop, I think I would be kind of intrigued to be like, you know what, we deal with this our whole lives.
Man,
let me give him a voice.
Right, but I remember the day this was announced. I was just about to go into a class, and I got a text. The Emoji Movie is happening from Sony Pictures. I'm like, what in the actual hell is happening? And, like, nothing looks good about this movie. The synopsis looks dumb. The characters look dumb. The whole thing just looks dumb.
I think it might almost, like, potentially, like, they know it's going to be dumb, so they're going to just play off how dumb it is.
Maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe it might be better than the Lego Movie. Maybe, but that's a stretch.
Going along with that. Because, I mean, look at the Lego Movie. It's got a huge audience for it being so dumb.
Right, but the Lego... I don't know.
Because I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, there's some people out there who just want to watch stupid things. Watch stupid things. And I think it's going to have a large audience because you're going to go there just to laugh about some Patrick Stewart's voice voicing poop. I mean, that's why you're going to this movie. Which kind of makes me laugh. I'm kind of excited just because I love Patrick Stewart. But, yeah, I agree. It's going to be a terrible movie. But awesome maybe at the same time.
Yeah, but with the Lego Movie, maybe I was in the minority, but I was excited because I knew that like the Legos are actually like minifigures and actual people, so you can actually build a original story off of Legos.
Yeah.
These are freaking faces. There's like ice cream cones and flags and plus and minus signs and poop. It's like, why would you make a movie about that? I mean, it just seems like a total waste of time and money. And you know, I mean, yay for them for going off of the whole, this is going to be really stupid, playing off that, but...
It's purely for entertainment, because it's not for a story idea, it's not to continue it. I think it's mainly just to be like, okay, here's a bunch of emojis that we all know on our phone.
Yeah.
They have voices, and they're voiced by Patrick Stewart.
One of those,
Enjoy with all the stupidness, you know? So it'll probably make money, it'll probably do okay, it'll be terrible, but... You know. I
hope this movie just dies the day it comes out. I hope it dies.
But we gotta make room for Emoji 2. Emoji 3.
Hell no. People think Trump is the sign of the apocalypse. This is the sign of the apocalypse. The end of the world's not going to be Trump. It's going to be the Emoji Movie. And it's going to be voiced by Patrick Stewart. Great. Okay. All right, so that was the top 5 of the week, running down the list. Number 1, the Logan and Power Rangers trailer. Number 2, Leia will not be CGI'd in Star Wars 8 or 9. Tangled, Before, Ever After sequel announced. Ben Affleck tells people to chill out about the Batman. And Patrick Stewart voices Poop in the Emoji Movie.
Just look at that. This is fantastic.
I guess. I mean, if anything, I'll just watch it for Patrick Stewart, because that'll be fun. All right, now on to our topic of the week. Moving on to a little more serious note. I asked JJ to be on the show specifically to talk about the movie Silence, which he and I and Shelby Turner got to see together. I think it was an advanced screening, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was like a week and a half ago.
It was a week and a half ago, like I think like a whole 3 days before it came out. 3 days, oh my gosh.
Well, it had been out for a while before that with limited release.
Yeah, right. So
it just dawned on me.
It was pretty. I was pretty impressed that we found a limited release showing, because those aren't hard to find, or those are hard to find. Excuse me. So we both walked out of that theater. By the way, this is our review essentially. So we're going to be reviewing the sounds for the rest of the episode. This movie. We both walked out with 2 radically different opinions. I loved it, and you hated it.
I would say I hated it, because I think at first my first.
I mean, I'm just paraphrasing.
Right. No, sure. I think that was my first reaction to it. But sitting and letting it kind of thinking about the film and stuff. It's so deep. I mean, you can't help but think about it for the next couple of days.
Right. So really quick, let's just briefly say like what exactly your gut reaction did you not like?
I think my gut reaction was the film's message was deep in a sense that you had to know enough about the Catholic faith in order to get the right, for people to understand it the way it's supposed to be understood. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that it was a message that would be clear enough, and I don't think that people needed to hear that message, because it was confusing.
With the message being?
The message being about like the silence of God and kind of like the overall meaning of the film. So with that, I guess going more into deeper with that, it's because, it's based on these 2 Jesuit priests that are going over to find this priest who had taught them. Mm-hmm. and they had heard that he would apostatize.
Apostatized.
And they couldn't believe it. So they go over there. They go through all this turmoil. They see all these horrible things. They see the people that they're administering to. They die. They sacrifice themselves. And then when it comes down to them, the first priest, his friend, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Adam Driver.
The one that was played by Adam Driver. He sacrifices himself and dies as a martyr. And then when it comes down to the...
Spoilers!
Yes, spoilers. The lead character, Andrew Garfield, when it comes down to him, obviously underneath torture, underneath, being tested psychologically for weeks and months at a time, and then also with his, the person that is played by Liam Neeson, his mentor that he went to save, when he's telling him to give in, he ultimately gives in and steps on God. Now,
the image of God.
The image of God, which is what they would do to say,
their form of apostatizing, yeah.
Sure. So some people brought up the argument that, well, who cares? It's just an image. It doesn't matter. That doesn't mean he could have held his faith in the whole time. And but one point I'd like to bring up is that that's what the government wanted them to do. That's exactly what the course that he wanted them to take. And then also stepping on the image, you could say, well, of course, the image, it's just an image. It's not God. We're not worshiping the image, but it's more so the outward action that you're taking is saying, I deny God. That step forward. So that's what he did. He fully did that. And then living under, in hiding is exactly what, like I was saying, exactly what the government wanted to do. I would say the true heroes in this film were the people that they were with that died, that were crucified in the film,
became
martyrs.
Were
drowned to death, became martyrs. I would say those are the true heroes. Those are the people that really inspired me the most. But at the same point, I think this film's really important for the right people. Because for me, I really gained a lot from watching it because I saw myself in a lot of the characters in my own spiritual, dealings throughout my life. We don't have physical trials like these people did, but we have more spiritual trials. And, with Andrew Garfield, how many times have we, done that with sin? How many times have we said, I'm going to choose this sin to give into this or to that and deny God, and we give in really easily. And I also saw myself as, what was the friend of theirs that would always come back for forgiveness?
Chiquichiro.
Yes. He would always come back, and I saw myself in him. I'm constantly that person going back to confession saying I've done the same thing over again. I've done the same thing over again. We all have experienced that. Talking from a Catholic perspective, that is.
Constantly asking for God's forgiveness.
Right, and even as a Christian perspective, you're always asking for God's forgiveness. So I feel like there's a lot of importance. You just really should know the story, and you should know really what... I would encourage people who don't know the Christian or Catholic faith, the Christian faith, to really to do some research and understand it before you judge the film, because that's really important. Because honestly, it is terrible that this priest gave in, and so did Neeson's character,
Father Ferreira.
But that they were it's kind of to show how we are in our lives. That's what I took from it. So I think it's really important. It was important for me because it really reminded me of myself and my struggles. And it's kind of God, I hope that I don't become that. I hope I don't do that in my life at some point. Because I can imagine being in their position. I can imagine being underneath that torture and being faced with that decision that you step on this or die.
Or the psychological pressure.
I feel a ton of empathy for those characters. I'm not saying that they're bad in any way and that they had bad intentions, but you can't deny God, and that's not something that should be encouraged. And I feel like the average person perhaps will take that as that's what the meaning of the film was. And the silence of God, he's not there. This stuff that we struggle with. And I think it screams Scorsese's struggle in life, because he's a fallen away Catholic. And I think these are things that he turmoils with a lot. But I hope, I don't know exactly where he's coming from, so I can't judge him. But I hope it's not a scream of these are the things I'm struggling with, and I'm trying to make it feel better for myself. That I'm kind of I know God, but I'm going to keep it silent. You have to. God says how many times you have to live out full and loud, and you have to. Even if that leads to your death, that's our call as Christians and as Catholics. And,
go ye to all the world and preach the gospel.
Exactly. So those were my criticisms of the film. I loved the film as far as cinematically, story. Brilliant, just touches me. Scorsese always does a brilliant job. So I think it's a really important film. I just think people need to make sure that they educate themselves properly before they judge it.
Right. So for me, my gut reaction to this movie was that it was phenomenal. from beginning to end. I didn't, and the reason why was because I saw Andrew Garfield's character, Sebastian Rodriguez. I saw his fall as a very human touch. I saw that as we always have our stumbles. We all stumble. We all fall. We all fall into sin, and sometimes we're convinced that we're irreparable and that we can't pull ourselves out of this rut, and we forget that no, that's not the case. While yes, sin is not okay, and you shouldn't sin. We're human, and because of the fall, we are inclined to give into our human desires, or what is easy. And Father Rodriguez in the movie was probably the strong. I mean, aside from the martyrs and the many Japanese people that died in the movie, in the story, he shows the most resistance. He never ever gave in, and this movie takes place over the course of maybe, I don't know, 5 years maybe. I'm spitballing here, but he goes through so much psychological torture and physical torture, to the point where at that point you feel sympathy for him. You understand why he falls, because it is human. But his downfall is as a priest and as a holy man of God, he thinks he is irreparable, like he's done. He's apostatized and there's no going back. But then Chikichiro, who constantly comes back begging for forgiveness and confession, he almost comes off as an annoyance. But then after I thought about it, I realized he is the most important character in this entire movie, because in the end of the movie, it's probably a year after Garfield apostatizes, and Shikichiro comes to him and is like, I need confession, I need God's forgiveness. He's like, no, I don't do that anymore. And then there's a very sincere moment where Father Rodriguez realizes that God's always there in the silence, and he never left. And he never abandoned Father Rodriguez. He was always there, even in the silence of his sufferings, and that he shouldn't abandon his faith because of the silence, because God is not, because we can't hear or see God, essentially. And so he ends up, through Chikichiro, he sees that and he comes back to the faith, but then yes, he keeps it in silence. And my offense initially was, well, what's the point of proclaiming his faith at that point? There's no point. Nothing's going to happen. So essentially the movie ends with him living the rest of his life, the rest of his faith, in silence. Which, and then, I, like JJ, it's sad with me, and I realized that, wait, like, no, hold on a second. If that's the message, like you said, about Christianity should be reverent, should be within the silence of ourselves, it shouldn't be proclaimed throughout the world, then no, that's wrong. Because, as we said, go ye to all the world and preach the gospel. That was God's message to us through Jesus Christ.
Right.
And to reject that, and to say that is the message of the movie, right, is completely off.
It's out of context, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks loud volumes for where we're at in our society, too. Especially with, like, where we're, particularly where me and Vince are going into the film industry. I mean, that's a lot of the attitude towards Christianity. Not all the time, but there's large portions of the time that's the way it is. It's like, okay, it's great that you have this Christian faith. Good for you, this is nice. Just keep it to yourself and don't talk about it. And don't, I don't want to hear about it.
Right.
Which, it's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not how we can live as Christians and Catholics. And you have to live to proclaim the gospel, and that doesn't mean in every aspect you have to be yelling around Jesus and all these different things,
Right,
but
yeah.
There's times where you have to be quiet, but when it comes time, there's certain things that we can't back down from, that we can't deny, and we have to defend our faith.
Right.
And in those moments, that's when they want us to kind of just keep it to ourselves, and that's not true. Because I wouldn't even want somebody who is a Muslim or is a Jew or anybody else to just sit down and not defend their faith if I am attacking it, whether directly or indirectly. Because that's, especially with it being America, that's what makes America so great. Like, I want to hear your opinion. I can fully disagree with that, and it ultimately comes down to what's keeping us the most safe. But with Christian and Catholic faith, it's a peaceful, very peaceful religion. It's all about love, and it's about finding God and finding God in other people.
Right.
So that's never an issue. So I think that was, for both of us, it was kind of like we kind of came from it from two different angles, and we kind of saw more.
We found a middle ground, essentially, after sitting on it.
Exactly. What Scorsese was trying to say, and our fear, I guess, would be that we want to make sure people really take the time to understand what the film is about and what it's supposed to invoke, because it could invoke some things that are not supposed to be.
Right.
So.
Because if you like you said, really think about it, Kylo Ren's the hero in this movie.
Right.
Adam Driver, if you didn't catch that reference, because he dies trying to save the Japanese people being thrown overboard, and he drowns trying to save these people, and it's like, okay, he's probably the real hero of this movie,
right?
Even though he is maybe a little weaker in certain areas,
seems like it, yeah.
According to the movie. And really quick, I want to touch on something you said, that we find God in other people, and that was very, very, very eminent in this movie. When they're going to these Japanese villages and they're doing confessions and masses and baptisms, and these people are just enthralled with these priests and what they're doing, and like we were saying, these people are probably the strongest people in the entire movie. Their soul is
They've been years
so
without
on
faith.
yeah, their soul is so on fire with the love of God, and then to see them being killed for their faith, dying as martyrs, was incredibly moving.
Yeah.
So just wanted to point out that. And then there aren't a lot of starring roles in this. There's 4 maybe if you count Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver, Liam Neeson, and Stephen Hans, who plays the priest in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
We're actually reading the book right now in our global history culture class. So we kind of had a sense of what it was like going in. Not a clear sense, but I guess it's informed my reading of the book now. I understand it a little more because I'm more of a visual person than a reading person. So, I guess final closing thoughts, JJ. What did you overall briefly summarize? What did you think of the movie?
That was a brilliantly made film. I think you could tell the amount of time that was spent in making it a brilliant film. I feel like it was a cry out from Scorsese about things that he really struggles with, and I think that it's really important for everybody to hear, important for everybody to see, but just make sure you kind of know the context of what you're supposed to see it with.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Beautifully shot, beautifully directed, beautifully acted. Mm-hmm. It's a gorgeous movie, and also I want to put a little emphasis on the use of silence. There's little to no music in this movie, and if it is, it's Japanese instruments, and they're used very minimally. I loved that. That was
only
no
one
orchestra,
part.
And I think that really helped set the tone of the movie. That's probably my favorite part of the entire thing, cinematically, is that there is the presence of silence. It's kind of its own character in the movie.
Yeah.
But yes, it definitely puts an emphasis on Scorsese's struggles with the faith. It's definitely his most personal film. I wouldn't say it's his best film.
Right.
But the performances are great. Andrew Garfield definitely deserves a nomination for Best Actor. Beginning to end, highly gripping and emotional and entertaining. But yeah, our issues with the message are definitely eminent, and we just want to make sure people know that to keep your faith to yourself, if that is the message of the movie, if that was Scorsese's intent, is not what being Christian is about. It's about proclaiming your faith and being loud and proud about it. Not every waking moment of your life, but when
there's times to be quiet, but then there's times to really speak out.
Yeah, when it's necessary. So yes, please, hopefully you guys hear our words out and do with them what you will. And that is our review of Silence.
No.
And I think we're about done here. Guess we'll close it out. JJ, thank you for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Where can the kids find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Just look up JJ Schindler. It's a pretty uncommon name, so you should be able to find me pretty quick.
Yep. Not to be confused with J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
he hasn't directed anything.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah. Well, no, you've directed something. What am I saying? I
nothing of his scale.
I freaking worked on one of your films, or both of your films, actually. What am I saying?
Most
I'm
of
sorry.
my films.
Most of my films, yeah. You've worked on most of mine, so it's only a fair trade.
Anyway, we were ending.
Yeah. All right, you guys can follow me on all my social media accounts: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube. Nice review or trailer reaction for Logan is out right now. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. All my social media links will be put in the description below. A lot of news came out over the week that I couldn't cover, so I will just say next week we're going to be talking about things like Miles Morales animated movie for Spider-Man, the Black Adam spinoff announced, Green Lantern Corps shortlists announced, stuff like that we'll be covering next week. So yeah, we're going to close this out. Happy Inauguration Day. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy your weekend. God bless and peace out.
God bless.